The book of Joshua, the sixth book of the Bible, recounts the Israelites' entry into the Promised Land under the leadership of Joshua, Moses' appointed successor. It marks the fulfillment of God's covenant promise to Abraham to give his descendants the land of Canaan. The book emphasizes faith, obedience, and God's faithfulness while chronicling Israel's conquest and settlement in the land. The narrative unfolds in three key parts: Conquest of Canaan, chapters 1 to 12, Division of the Land, chapters 13 to 22, and Covenant Renewal, chapters 23 to 24. 1. Conquest of Canaan, chapters 1 to 12. A. Preparation for the conquest, chapters 1 to 5. 1. God commissions Joshua, chapter 1. After Moses' death, God commands Joshua to lead Israel across the Jordan River into Canaan. God assures Joshua of his presence, saying, "Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua 1:9. Joshua orders the people to prepare for the crossing and reminds the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh to honor their commitment to fight alongside the other tribes. 2. Spies sent to Jericho, chapter 2. Joshua sends 2 spies to scout Jericho. They are hidden by Rahab, a prostitute, who recognizes Israel's God as supreme. In return for her help, the spies promise to spare her and her family during the conquest. Rahab's faith marks her as a pivotal figure in Israel's history. She is later included in the genealogy of Jesus in Matthew 1:5. 3. Crossing the Jordan River, chapter 3-4. The Israelites cross the Jordan as the Ark of the Covenant leads the way. When the priests step into the river, the waters part, mirroring the Red Sea miracle. 12 stones are taken from the riverbed and set up as a memorial at Gilgal, symbolizing God's faithfulness. 4. Covenant renewal and first Passover in Canaan, chapter 5. The new generation is circumcised, reaffirming their covenant with God. They celebrate the Passover and manna ceases, signifying their transition to a land of abundance. B. Initial victories in Jericho's fall, chapters 6 to 8. 1. The fall of Jericho, chapter 6. God provides specific instructions for capturing Jericho. The Israelites march around the city for 7 days with the Ark of the Covenant blowing trumpets. On the 7th day, the walls collapse. Rahab and her family are spared, fulfilling the spies' promise. 2. Defeat and victory at Ai, chapter 7-8. Israel initially fails to conquer Ai due to Achan's sin. He disobeys God's command by taking plunder from Jericho. This disobedience leads to a humiliating defeat. After Achan is judged and removed, Israel attacks Ai again, achieving victory. Joshua builds an altar on Mount Ebal, and the Israelites renew the covenant, reading blessings and curses as Moses had commanded. C. Further conquests, chapters 9 to 12. 1. The Gibeonite deception, chapter 9. The Gibeonites trick Israel into making a treaty by pretending to be from a distant land. Though the treaty is honored, the Gibeonites become servants to Israel. 2. The Southern Campaign, chapter 10. 5 Amorite kings unite against Gibeon, prompting Joshua to defend their new allies. In the famous Long Day, Joshua prays for the sun to stand still so Israel can achieve complete victory, demonstrating God's power over nature. 3. The Northern Campaign, chapter 11. Joshua defeats a coalition of northern kings, led by Jabin of Hazor. The narrative emphasizes that God fought for Israel, granting them victory. 4. Summary of Conquests, chapter 12. The chapter lists 31 defeated kings, highlighting the scope of Israel's victories. Division of the Land, chapters 13-22. Land distribution. East of the Jordan, chapter 13. Moses had already allocated land east of the Jordan to the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh. This section reiterates those assignments. B. Land division. Among the tribes, chapters 14-19. 1. Caleb's inheritance, chapter 14. Caleb, one of the 2 faithful spies, is granted Hebron as his inheritance, fulfilling Moses' promise. Caleb's faith and courage stand as a model of trust in God. Number 2. Division of Canaan, chapters 15-19. The land is apportioned among the remaining tribes by lot, with detailed descriptions of boundaries and cities. The tribe of Levi receives no land inheritance. Instead, they are given cities and rely on offerings as their portion, reflecting their priestly role. C. Cities of refuge and Levitical cities, chapter 20-21. 6 cities of refuge are established for those who accidentally commit manslaughter. ensuring justice and protection. The Levites are assigned 48 cities throughout Israel. D. Altar of Witness, chapter 22. The eastern tribes return home but build an altar near the Jordan. This action initially causes concern among the other tribes, who fear rebellion against God. The eastern tribes clarify that the altar is a memorial, not for sacrifices, signifying unity and shared faith with the western tribes. 3. Covenant Renewal, chapters 23-24. A. Joshua's Farewell Address, chapter 23. Joshua, now old, summons Israel's leaders to remind them of God's faithfulness. He urges them to continue obeying God's commands, avoid alliances with the remaining Canaanites or adopting their practices. Be mindful of the consequences of disobedience, which would lead to expulsion from the land. B. Covenant at Shechem, chapter 24. Joshua gathers all Israel at Shechem for a covenant renewal ceremony. 1. Recap of God's deeds. Joshua recounts God's actions, from Abraham's call to the present victories in Canaan. 2. Call to serve God alone. Joshua challenges the people to choose whom they will serve, famously declaring, "As for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." Joshua 24:15. 3. The people's pledge. Israel vows to serve and obey Yahweh alone. A stone is set up as a witness to this covenant. See Death of Joshua and Eleazar. The book concludes with the death of Joshua and Eleazar, the high priest. Joshua is buried in his allotted territory, and Israel remains faithful during his lifetime. Key themes in Joshua. 1. God's faithfulness. The fulfillment of the promise to give Israel the land demonstrates God's reliability and power. 2. Courage and obedience. Joshua's leadership exemplifies courage rooted in faith and unwavering obedience to God. 3. Holiness and covenant. The call to remain distinct from surrounding nations and faithful to God's laws underscores Israel's identity as God's chosen people. 4. Divine sovereignty. The victories in Canaan highlight that success comes from God, not human strength. 5. Unity among God's people. The altar of witness and covenant ceremonies emphasize unity and shared responsibility under the covenant. Conclusion. The book of Joshua is a powerful narrative of transition, conquest, and covenant fulfillment. It chronicles Israel's transformation from a nomadic people to a settled nation under God's direct guidance. Joshua's faith, courage, and leadership model godly devotion and reliance on God's promises. Ultimately, the book serves as a testament to God's unchanging faithfulness and the importance of trusting and obeying Him in every aspect of life.